And also something about the building. It was built in actually 1954. The architect is Carlos Scarpa. So it's actually quite a recent, I mean, it's not like the oldest building here. It's also quite recent. And then the Venezuelan pavilion actually started in 1964. So that in the first show in 1964 was by Jesus Rafael Soto, which is a bunch of kinetic sculptures. He was there in 1964 and in 1970 with another artist. And then they took a break till 1978, where there a German painter, I think, showed up here. And then nothing really, like 1980, 1988, all through the like ups and downs with the oil crises and like everything else. And then sort of like what's more prevalent today was in sort of like 1990 through 1995. And then in 2000, then it took a break till 2005, where after like 10 years, a graphic designer actually was like put into the show. And so basically a little bit about like the whole pavilion thing is that it is government co-opted almost every single year, and the main sort of part of the government behind that is the Consejo Nacional de la Cultural, or CONAC, if you want to like to abbreviate it. And basically like that sort of is like a good and bad thing, like they sort of like help with the shows and everything, but actually in some years, especially the 1995 one, the artist didn't really follow what they wanted to do. He had like these houses, so basically they were like, oh, well, do you really want to do this? Like he wasn't really following the directions, so sometimes they have sort of a stay. I think he still had his show, but sometimes they push an artist one way or the other. So a little bit about this show is that, a little background, but so like Latin American sort of graffiti in itself like has like, it's grown, it's been like sort of a big thing, like coming back from like the 1990s in America down south. So, and it's sort of been like, it sort of like has been a huge movement, especially within Venezuela, where the government sort of pushes it a little bit, so that some people think is that a good or bad thing, that behind like, so that the government, like it's a greedy, graffiti in the past has been seen sort of sometimes as a political force. Banksy, sometimes people do it just to like spite the man or whatever, so that the government is sort of backing these artists and sort of like selling like, hey, we like what you do, sort of remove some of the power or what their voice has behind it. And also, like, it's in Venezuela, graffiti has grown a lot. In like 2011, actually a documentary, like an hour-and-a-half documentary called Pinto con Letra was released. And that's like I mean, if anyone wants to go like watch it, it's like actually like I watched like a few like part of like 30 minutes of it, and it's actually quite interesting to see like how much these artists sort of like are sort of sponsored by the government, but like still do their own thing. And like their like thought process behind what they started is, well, I want to choose which wall I do. They want to like make if they see a canvas, they're just probably going to take it. It's like that's the whole thing of the empty walls. And some of the artists in the show, I found some of their names. None of them know, like none their actual names besides one are not really known. So sort of they're still like, they have a name, which is like the whole point of what they're writing is their name. So there's still like that narcissistic tendencies behind the art. So some of them are like Care, Uxo, Repe, Shelfer, Slim, and the one that I actually know the name of is Jorge Vivas, who's Shock, who I think when you go inside, he has the video that says Shock, and it changes forms and everything. So you see like the whole like lettering process behind it. And a lot of the art in here is sort of fueled by because I feel like the show has been like curated even before Chavez's like death in 2013. So a lot of it does, like you can even see right there, a lot of it does have influence of like the Bolivar like system, as well as sort of like that whole part of like Venezuelan culture and aspect, like the government of is it a good or bad thing, the whole like controversies behind it. So they still are able to talk about like that sort of stuff. But some people think that like because of this show and because it's like, sort of sponsored by the government, that sort of power, and because it's co-opted, sort of is diminished slightly. Is there any like questions, anything else? So I don't think I missed any. Yeah, no, so there's like no names except like the visual abstract way that they like personal names. You'll see a video inside of them actually creating their art like on the street, so it's sort of, I don't know, it's interesting to think about like the whole like narcissistic aspect of graffiti as well as like the message they're trying to say. And yeah, that's about it.